All right, so let's go ahead and get started. So first, I just want to thank you guys, welcome you guys. This is not everyone who's doing the challenge. We have a lot of people signed up, which is awesome. So tons of support. So thank all of you and all of you in the camera as well. We're going to recrawl this and post it on the Facebook group. If you don't have Facebook, don't worry. We're going to post it on or send it to email as well. Probably through a YouTube link, more than likely. But anyways, just a little kind of recap and everything, right? This is the 6-week Do More Health Challenge. My name is Dave. If you don't, well, everyone knows me, I think. But I want to introduce as well our other coaches. So one is eating. Come on over here so they can see you in the camera. But Josh and Michelle, they're married, and I'm Josh's boyfriend. So
Our mistress.
Yeah.
I'm the mistress. But you'll be paired up with one of us three. It's going to be probably not super random. If you're already in a class, like the 5 a.m. class, we'll probably try to have Michelle take a lot of the 5 a.m.ers.
5 a.m.
That's enough out of you. And then Josh taking a lot of like the 6 a.m.ers and some 5 a.m.ers too, 5 a.m.ers. That's hard to say. But that way they can have regular checkups with you. And of course, we're going to have checkups daily and all kinds of things as well to help you guys succeed through this. Okay. Did everyone get the email last night that I sent out? Okay. I know it was late. We were trying to get everyone in who wanted to get into it before we sent it. It just has kind of a breakdown of everything that's going on. So be sure to check that. We will also have a little blurb, little video, probably like each Sunday, maybe Saturday or Sunday, that's explaining the next week's focus, right? So next week or the first week, we're talking about drinking more water. That's the focus for the week. Your coaches will work with you on like what that means for you, because not everyone's gonna be the same. You know, if you already drink like a gallon of water a day, you probably don't be drinking a ton more water, right? But maybe you can be more consistent with it or whatever, okay? So we're gonna try to tailor some goals to you guys specifically for each week, each focus, okay? Hey, babe. Can you come back? Can you come over here behind the camera just to make sure nothing like goes weird with it? It's back there. Just do your stuff back there and just look at it every now and then. Excellent. Okay. Beyond that, we're going to have the clinics every Saturday, which are going to be at 9 o'clock every Saturday. So keep that in mind. There was some confusion on the time for the class this morning. I know it was sent out that it was 8 o'clock. It's actually 7:30. Every Saturday, 7:30. And everyone who's in the challenge, whether you're a member of the gym or not, can come and work out at 7:30. You guys who are not members of the gym, who signed up, you get, of course, that, and then open gym access Monday through Friday. The times vary a little bit on that. Monday, Wednesday, Friday is 12 to 3. Tuesday, Thursday is 12 to 5. So I know it's not a ton of time, but that's what we had to work with. So you guys can come in and work out. I'll be here basically all the time. So this is what I do now. Okay. Any questions, guys, before we start on the nutrition clinic? Excellent. Okay, so nutrition. This is something that I'm pretty passionate about. It's changed my life. For those of you who don't really know a lot about my background, about how long ago was it, babe? Like 7 years ago, 6 years ago? I was like 425 pounds. Pretty sure I was going to die. So I decided to start CrossFit. And that kind of started my journey. And I've been through, every diet under the sun and lost a bunch of weight, gained some weight back. I've been through the whole gamut of things. So I've kind of seen all the good and bad about the nutrition industry, if that's what it's called, which I think probably is pretty accurate. And what I've come to realize is that simple is pretty much the best option, okay? If we're talking about solutions to a problem that we're having, any problem, a lot of times the simplest solution is usually the best, right? Takes the least effort. We can just get it done efficiently, right? Unfortunately, simple, okay, something can be simple, but that does not mean that it's easy, right? Especially when it comes to nutrition, because we all have to eat, right? And we all have different maybe struggles with food, right? Maybe some of us eat too much. I know there's plenty of people who eat too little, okay? We're all going to have our own struggles that are going to vary from person to person with that. And because food is so necessary for life, it's not just an easy solution. But we're going to make it as simple as we can. So I have here, what does this remind anyone of who's like as old as I am? The nutrition pyramid, right? Do you guys remember the nutrition pyramid? What was on it? What was the bottom? Cards. I just remember like loaves of bread, and I'm like, this is delicious. I love this. Okay. This is not going to be a pyramid based on types of food, but rather what is most important, okay, from the bottom up with nutrition. So, the most important thing, whether you're trying to lose weight or gain weight or maintain weight, is going to be energy balance. So when we're talking about energy balance, we're talking about calories, right? That's a dirty word for some people, which I understand, okay? But no matter who you are, the amount of calories you take in relative to how much you burn each day is going to dictate what's going to happen to your weight, okay? Whether you gain weight, you lose weight, you maintain your weight, okay? Now, we're not talking about building muscle because that is a training thing we do. We train so we build muscle, okay? But as far as weight loss, weight gain, we have to make sure that we are worrying about our energy balance. So, show of hands, who's trying to lose weight? Most people. Who's trying to gain weight? Anyone just trying to maintain their weight? Nice, cool. So here's how we're gonna do it. You can go online and you can find about 1,000 different like maintenance calorie calculators, and that's all well and good. Okay, at the end of the day, it doesn't really matter because that's just giving you a number, and then you're gonna have to figure out what to do with that. So to make it simple, what I want you to do, and if you guys want to take notes and stuff during this, I encourage it. Like I said, this will be posted, but if something's pertinent to you, take notes. Let's talk about maintenance calories first. You ever write a word and you're not sure if you're spelling it right or not? All the time happens to me. Okay, so maintenance. To make it simple, okay, you're going to take your weight times 15, okay? Current weight. This is just current weight, okay? So if you weigh 200 pounds, I should probably do the math before I say the number. 200 times 15, who can tell me what it is? 3,000. Okay, so for example, if you weigh 200 pounds times 15 is going to give you 3,000. Now listen, this is a rough estimate. Here's the problem with calories in general, okay? It is really, really hard to know exactly how many calories you burn a day. Like, actually impossible unless you're in a metabolic ward and you're having tests run and they're collecting your CO2. Like, it is impossible to really see exactly what you're burning, okay? So we can't really plan for that on a daily basis, right? We can get around the right number, and that's kind of where this comes from, okay? But if you're more active, that's the number's gonna be higher, right? If you're less active, it's gonna be lower, so forth and so on, okay? What we can control for, though, is more or less how much we take in. Now, the argument is gonna be, okay, well, there's like a 20% like difference on nutrition fact labels and what's actually in it. It can be higher or lower, and that's fine, but we can't really control that, right? And just because something isn't completely accurate doesn't mean it's not worthy of being tracked, right? So here's what we do. Does anyone know, I'm sure a lot of you do, roughly, or what is the accepted number of calories in 1 pound of body fat? 3,500, right? So 3,500 calories is roughly, 1 pound of fat. Again, give or take, that's a commonly accepted measurement for it. So let's talk about if we want to lose weight, which is most of us, and we'll talk about gaining weight too, because that's important too. If we want to lose weight and we have 3,000 calories, that is going to be our daily requirement to maintain our weight. We need to take something off of that. If we need to take, or if we want to lose 1 pound a week, who can tell me how many calories we should cut out per day? 500, right? 500 calories a day will equal 3,500 calories over the entire week, which should, all things being perfect, which life, of course, isn't perfect, and that's okay, should equal 1 pound of hopefully fat loss, not muscle loss, because we don't want that, okay? On the flip side of that, if we wanted to gain a pound a week, we would add 500 calories, right? Making this 3,500 instead of 3,000, okay? That's the simple math of it. Once we find what our maintenance calories are, more or less, then we can play with the number of how much we take in each day. Now, what if things change, right? What if you say, okay, I want to lose a pound of fat a week, and you go to 2,500 calories and you're super diligent and you track everything and you weigh it and it's perfect, but you only lose half a pound? What did we learn from that information from doing that? No, what? What? What, Becca? Too many cookies. Yes, all those things are true. Yeah, so it means that something's wrong in the equation, right? Something's wrong. And that's okay, right? When you first start trying to count your calories and do these things, it is a little bit of an experimentation to try to figure out what exactly is going to work for you, okay? So if you only lost half a pound, then you probably realize that this number is wrong, right? Assuming that you've been honest with yourself on your tracking, this number must be wrong, okay? So then instead of taking 500 calories off, then we might need to take 750 calories, 1,000 calories, okay? See what we're doing here? We're playing with these numbers. Now, there is a point where it just becomes too much, right? We're taking too many calories out. Who has gone on like an absolute not eating anything, starvation diet? Who has done that in their life? A lot of people have. How did you feel a few days into that? A couple weeks into it? So good. Week? So good. Have you ever like looked at a piece of food and you're like, ooh, yeah, that's the one. You know what I'm saying? Like that's what it gets like, because you've taken so many calories out of your diet that you are just thinking about food constantly. There is a happy medium, and that is different for everybody to where that line is. But what you guys need to think about is a pound of fat, okay? If we were to lose a pound of fat every week for a year, we would lose 52 pounds in that year. Even if we said, hey, during the holidays we weren't so good, we just maintained, we were still losing like 45 calories a year or 45 pounds a year, right? Who has 45 pounds to lose here? I mean, I don't think some of you have 45 pounds to lose, but you could reach your goal theoretically in a year. So what we want to think about is having a long-term mindset with our fat loss. Okay, you're not going to lose 45 pounds in a month, right? 6 months, I mean, you're really pushing it, okay? You should be looking at what are the long-term goals that we're trying to hit, and how can we hit those and make them sustainable forever. You guys have any questions on energy balance or calories or anything? Okay, quick note. If you've never used any kind of tracking software or anything, there's about 1 million ones out there that you can use, but pretty much the most popular one is, who knows it? MyFitnessPal, right? Wow, I cannot. If I could actually write, that'd be great. Okay, MyFitnessPal, there's a bunch out there, guys, but if you need a simple, free kind of thing, MyFitnessPal is great. Okay? Yes? Great question. So how accurate are step trackers, right? The step tracking technology is pretty good, but the actual like burning of calorie technology is all over the board. So what I would do, if you're trying to, because we're talking about the energy balance, right? If you're trying to burn more so you can maybe eat a little more or whatever you need to do, then I would focus on a step count rather than a what did this thing tell me that I burned in calories thing. Because it just won't, I mean, you'll have the Apple Watch, which will say, oh, you burned 1,000 calories today or whatever. You'll have the Fitbit that's like, oh, you burned 700. You know, there's so much variation that can really make an impact and have a negative thing. So focus on being more active than hitting a certain calorie number. Any other questions so far? Okay. No, I've never. I hope they're not watching. No, you don't. No, I never see the point in it now. I pay for an app called Carbon, which is developed by Lane Norton, who's like got a doctorate in, I think, protein synthesis. Anyway, smart guy. And he has an app that almost, it like changes your macros and things for you as you go. And so something like that is better. MyFitnessPal, I mean, I've never messed around with the pro one, but the free one did everything I needed to do. So, yeah. And the one I do, Carbon, is like $10 a month. So, okay. Any other questions, guys, before we move on? Okay, sweet. All right, next we have the second most important thing in our little food pyramid revised here, are macros. Who can tell me the 3 macronutrients? You don't get to answer. It's not fair. Protein, carbs, fats. Okay. So now the question becomes, how do we distribute our calories, right? Because all these things are just calories. Protein is 4 calories per gram. Carbs are also 4 calories per gram. Fats are 9 calories per gram. Okay. So when we're talking about macros, all we're talking about is calories anyway, right? And certain things have more weight, right? Fats, obviously, at 9 calories per gram is more than double what the carbs and protein are. So it makes an impact, right? But what we're trying to do is fill up our calorie allotment. So let's go back to the 3,000 calorie a day model we had for that 200-pound person. The first thing, and I would say the most important thing, is protein, especially as active people, which all of us are, or we hope to be, right? Protein, we want to make sure we have it so that our muscles can recover, so they can build, so that has that fuel there for our muscles to get stronger, right? Now, what we're going to do here is 0.8 to 1 gram per pound of body weight. 0.8 to 1 gram. So for that 200-pound person, that ends up being 160 to 200 grams, somewhere in there, of protein per day, every day, forever, and always. That is a lot. That can be a lot. Yes, you're right. But we'll talk about that in a minute. Don't worry. But that's what you're looking for. Now, guys, real quick, you don't get, if you go over 1 gram per pound of body weight, you're not getting a bunch of extra benefit from that. You don't get like, oh, if I do 2 grams per pound, I'm going to become The Rock. No, it doesn't happen, unfortunately, okay? There's diminishing returns after 1 gram. It doesn't mean you can't eat protein. It just means you're not going to get like all the juice from it. You know what I'm saying? Okay. Side note is that if you are overweight, right? Like really overweight, then you want to do this based off your lean body mass instead of your body weight. Okay. So I'm a big dude. I'm not trying to eat like 270 grams of protein a day because I'll probably just, it's too much protein. Okay. You can, but you don't have to. Okay. So if you have access somehow to a body weight calculator or you can estimate it, that'd be your best bet. Carbs. Actually, let's go down to fats first. Fats. What we're looking for here is roughly 20 to 35% of your calories. Okay. And we got a calculator on them real fast. Y'all got your phones out. So if we take, let's take 30%, right? So 3,000 times 0.3. What does that give us, somebody? Divided by 9. Never mind. Then you divide it by 9 to get because you have the 9 calories per gram, right? There we go, 116. So for that person, 116, that's for that person, right? Based on the calories they're intaking. What's that? Yeah. If you don't track a lot, you will be shocked at how many calories and stuff is in food, unfortunately. But yes, again, it's a range, right? This is a 35%, Catherine, is that what you said? Yeah. So that's the high range for that person, okay? Why is fat important? Well, fat is important primarily for hormonal function, okay? All of our hormones, whether it's testosterone or estrogen or anything else, that is all going to be derived from cholesterol, which is part of fat, okay? So you have to have fat. Otherwise, you're not going to have proper hormone function. So make sure, don't think that you can just eat low fat all the time and be super happy. 67. So see, that's a pretty wide range right there that you can eat within. Okay? Exactly. Yep. And that was part of the problem back then, is that they demonized fat. And then all of a sudden it's like, well, we can't eat fat. Well, then you're not having proper hormone function, so your metabolism's going down and all kinds of other stuff. So don't be afraid of fat. Okay? Lastly, the one to really not be afraid of is carbs. Who's afraid of carbs? All right, there's always some, right? Let me tell you, I used to be deathly afraid of carbs. When I lost about 160 something pounds initially doing like keto. And you guys know keto is super low carb. Yeah, straight up. And it worked, but did it? Because once I got off keto, I was like, hey, Oreos still exist. And then I ate a bunch of Oreos and got like 100 pounds back, right? It's dangerous, okay? It's really difficult, guys. Do not demonize a food group, okay? Or a macronutrient in this case. But carbs, what we're looking at, guys, is we find our protein, right? We find our fats, and then essentially the rest is just filled with carbs, okay? Fill in the rest, right? With carbs. So let's just say, for example, we know 4 calories is one, or 4 calories are in 1 gram of carbs. So if you have 800 calories left, how many carbs is that going to be? What? Say it, Mish. Yeah, 200. You nailed it. Yeah, so 200. Okay, so once you find that, then you can find out what your distribution should be. Okay, carbs are super important, guys, especially all of you that are doing CrossFit, especially CrossFit, because we're so glycogen dependent, which is essentially the carbs in our muscles, right? That we need to replenish those as much as possible. So you need to not be afraid of this, and just realize that at the end of the day, the energy balance between these things is what's going to drive our weight, not whether we have a bunch of carbs or not. Now, eating a ton of carbs does have you retain a little more water, right? So you might initially, if you already eat low carb and you say, okay, I'm going to add in 100 grams of carbs, you might see a bump up of a pound or two, but that'll also come down after a couple of days. So there's no reason to be afraid of it. This is like the real energy for workouts, okay? Any questions on macros? Trying to move along. I'm so long-winded with this because I love it, but okay. All right, moving on. The third most important thing is going to be, and I'm running out of room here, is going to be food quality, okay? This sounds like it should be higher, okay? But the quality of the food does not trump the importance of the macronutrient breakdown or the energy balance, okay? Yes, you could eat Twinkies exclusively and lose weight, okay? It's been done. The guy did it. He was like, to prove a point, he just ate Twinkies and he ate under his his calorie goal, and he lost weight, okay? You guys remember the Super Size Me guy? Okay, So another guy said, all right, and then he ate at McDonald's exclusively and lost weight, and all of his health markers improved because he was eating in a caloric deficit. Okay, I know it sounds crazy, but you can have chicken nuggets and it's okay. You're not going to die. Okay, now here's the thing though. Food quality, the poor food quality, and I'm talking like treats and snacks and chips and all that stuff, that tastes really good. It's typically much higher in things like fat, which we know now have a lot higher caloric load. Okay, so you can make the choice to say, okay, I'm going to have a bag of hot Cheetos, baby. That's right. There is no judgment. I'm just. Yeah, you can make the choice to do that, but you need to understand how that's going to impact your daily food intake, right? You're going to have to take something from somewhere else to put the hot Cheetos in there. Okay? That's going to have to happen. If you eat more high quality food like salads and whole foods and whole grains, those things have more volume. They're going to fill you up and keep you full longer than like a Snickers would. A Snickers is like this big. It's got like 250 calories. Okay. If you're to eat the same calories of apples, it's like fetching 3 giant apples. Okay. So think about that. Okay. There's no judgment. You guys can do whatever so long as you're okay with the decision you make, right? And you make it work for you. That's the important thing. Okay. Any questions on food quality? Okay. Last thing, the least important. Who can guess? Thank you. I'll give you your $20 later. Okay. The least important thing is supplements. And here's why. It's in the name, right? Supplements are meant to supplement whatever you're doing. You need to think of supplements as like the extra 1%. Now, if we're talking about protein, like Catherine said earlier, hitting 160 grams of protein or whatever, it might be hard for you. And yes, if you eat that in straight up like boiled chicken breast, you're going to have a real bad time. That's why something like supplements, if we're talking about a protein supplement, that is really useful because if you can't eat all that protein, having some protein shakes is an easy way to get some more protein in. That is probably the best use for supplements is protein intake, okay? For people who are trying to bulk, right? Like Bryant, you bulk, right? I'm always bulking, but you bulk, you got to get calories in, right? They make weight gainers that just have a ton of calories in them. And sometimes that helps, right? Yeah, because it's really hard to eat like 5,000 calories of chicken and broccoli. So that's the idea. Any other supplements? And keep in mind, we have supplements for sale. Okay, I will never lie to you guys and say, if you take this, you're going to become whatever. Okay, it's just the extra 1%, right? You take pre-workout to give you the extra like burst of energy to really push hard in a workout. You take, hydration supplements so that you stay hydrated, which actually is important, but it's not going to be completely life-changing for the most part. Okay, I'll always be honest with you guys because I love you. No, I tried that. It didn't work. No. Yep, can't do it. Okay, but that's the deal on subs. Okay, questions on supplements? What's that? Vitamins are good too. Now, ideally, you would get all your vitamins through the food quality portion. But here's the thing, multivitamins, like one a days, they cost you like pennies. You might as well just take one and just to cover your bases. Now, it might be like throwing like spaghetti on a wall and see what sticks. But yeah, the real deal, guys, is that you should be getting all of your nutrients from the food you consume. But we realize in our day and age that sometimes that just doesn't happen. And that's kind of where supplements come in. But we should always be trying to focus on eating our nutrients, our vitamins, rather than taking them in a pill form, right? Makes sense. But yes. Any other questions? Okay. The last thing, I think it's the last thing that I want to talk about is probably the all-encompassing most important part of all this, okay? And that's like It's like the third dimension here, okay? And this one, this is a word I definitely am going to spell wrong. Is that right? Got it. I was testing you guys. I actually knew. I'm telling you, like, guys, I'm almost 40. Like, this happens all the time. Okay. Probably and arguably the most important thing of everything is going to be adherence to whatever you're doing. Okay. Like I said with my experience with keto, like keto was great while it worked and I adhered to it while I could, but I couldn't have that be a lifelong like thing for me to do, right? That wasn't going to work. And because of that, I rebounded and gained a bunch of weight back, right? And now I'm doing it the right way where I'm just like losing slowly but surely, keeping things balanced, all that stuff. That is the goal, okay? You want to create a way of eating that is going to be a lifestyle, which I hate to use that word with a bunch of fitness people here because it becomes like cliche, but it really is, right? If you can't see yourself doing something for a long period of time, then you're really just wasting your time, right? You can have short spurts, if you've got like, you're trying to meet a weight class or you have a cut coming up or whatever, you can do short spurts of like, I'm going to lose a bunch of weight really fast, but you need to understand that that is not what you're going to be doing for a long time. And when we are trying to lose weight or gain weight or whatever it is, and we just fall into this like fad diet sort of thing, like that's not going to be good for anyone. Okay. So whatever you do, find something that makes sense. That's why I say like, go have the chicken nuggets if that's going to make you feel better. Like it's okay. Don't feel guilty about having something. Just be honest with yourself and know what that is. And that's going to be the most important. Questions? Okay. Well, that's pretty much it, guys. If no one has any questions. Babe, got any questions? Yes. Comments, questions. Yes, Mish.
So I know it's super daunting, especially the macros, seeing that we're supposed to be eating more than we think. Because with these fad diets on social media and everything, it's already programmed in our minds that we're supposed to be having less. We're not supposed to be eating as much. But I tell my athletes all the time, go home, recover, eat. Because eating is recovery as well. And picking foods that have good quality is even better. In CrossFit, you really need the calories. And I promise you, it feels like a lot. And when I first started doing my macros, I felt heavy after. Like at the end of the day, I'm like, how can this be helping me? I just feel heavier, like after eating all of this. But I promise you'll wake up in the morning and you already feel a difference. You feel better mentally. That's a huge thing. And then you feel better in the gym, have great energy. That's coming from a good place. And your body kind of transforms. You're not going to see a lot of times, like some people have told me that they have gained weight since they started. I'm like, well, how much? You don't know how much muscle you've gained compared to how much fat you've lost. It's kind of balancing out. Like I said, it's a transformation, not so much it's cutting all your fat and then we're going to build muscle. Your body doesn't work like that. So just keep that in mind. That's a huge thing. And I just hate social media is awesome for a lot of things, but they really program our mind involuntarily that we should not be eating a lot and that our calories we should cut. Okay? There's a time and proper place and time for that. But most of the time we need to actually eat more. So especially for women, we're going to fluctuate a lot. I used to weigh myself every morning. It was just like 10 pounds difference because of the water that you absorb and our hormones are different. So, don't feel discouraged. Just hang in there. Like, try it out for a couple of weeks. It's going to be an amazing transformation if you just stick to it. And you don't even have to be, like, a lot of times when we talk about this, people are like, weighing your food is awesome. You get a food scale. MyFitnessPal has everything already in there and whatever, but just giving yourself simple goals just to begin with would be a great place because then you get discouraged because you're like, oh, I was 0.2 off the ounce, so that means I actually added much more calories, which then puts me above my total calories or whatever. So don't get discouraged by that. It's a small thing for a big goal that you're gonna have at the end here of whatever the year you said you can do that. Anyways, I don't know. That's just kind of my input and being patient with it because it takes time. You're not gonna wake up and be 70 pounds skinnier and a ton of muscle. I don't know. So I don't know. That's just kind of my take.
Not with that attitude, you're not.
I just got super into I cut all the way to like 115, and I was kind of grumpy and all that stuff, and it's just not very fun. I felt like I looked good, but mentally it just wasn't very fun for me or anyone else around me. So now I'm happy just sticking around 130 and not weighing myself every day, just every so often, making sure I'm not going too overboard with the Oreos. But I don't know. That's just kind of my take on it. I really think that will just make you more. It's awesome recovery, and it'll just make you feel better. So don't get discouraged.
Yeah, to kind of go off what Misha's saying, I mean, there's this kind of revolution in like the fitness industry or CrossFit or whatever, where they're saying like eat to perform. Like we come in here when we do CrossFit, like it's intense, like it's competitive, like you're trying to go faster than the person next to you. Like start fueling yourself first so that you are effective with your training, and then say, okay, how can I like modify things a little bit to be in line with like my body composition goals, right? Because I promise if you cut out all your calories, you're not going to perform very well, so you're going to feel like crap. You're going to probably bounce back because you're like, I've eaten 1,200 calories today, and now I can't eat another nut, otherwise I'll be over, so eat for what you're trying to do, like Nisha's saying, and you're going to feel a lot better. And then it's a lot easier then to have that positive outlook and be able to make some changes.
There's you read a lot about timing and when you're eating. Like, is it better to eat a lot of protein before? Do you eat protein right after you work out, or don't eat for 16 hours? And then, what?
So meal timing, there is some truth to like when you eat is good, but it's one of those things where like if I had it on a pyramid here, like it'd be maybe a couple things above this. Like I shouldn't say that. I should say that these three things are so much more important that meal timing is like, until you have these like rock solid, I wouldn't even worry about it. Now you can experiment like, having like simple carbs right after you work out because your muscles want it, that sort of thing. You can experiment with that stuff. But to deep dive into like, I'm going to plan out my day and like at 4:37 in the morning, I'm going to wake up and have a protein shake. And like people do that. And most of those people are ones who are competing at like a very high level of like bodybuilding, for example, where every little thing counts. Where for most people and all of us, like we need to worry about these things, right? And until we have those just awesome, then it's like, just hold off, right? But great question. Yes, babe.
One of the things you shared with me one time that helped was like counting calories a week instead of a day. So when you eat that kind of questions, it screw everything.
Yeah. So think about your calories. This is a strategy you can use. So if we did our 3,000 calorie guy, right, per day, if you want, and this is fine, you can cycle the calories. That's what it's typically called, is calorie cycling, where you'll say, okay, instead of 3,000 a day, strict every single day, I need to average 3,000 a day throughout the week, right? So you can even take that and say, okay, I need 21,000 calories per week, right? And that's the number I need to hit. And then on training days, you may have a little more, and on rest days, you would have a little less, so that would balance out, is the idea. And that works. Studies have shown it's the same thing. It doesn't matter. So long as like the week is the same, you're going to have the same amount of weight loss. Now, if you save all of your calories for, well, let me actually give you some, what's up? Yeah, I was saying, let me like change this up a little bit. So here's what I say, okay? You should never have a day that is more than double your daily average, okay? So if you're 3,000 calories a day, you should not save up like 14,000 calories for Sunday and eat just mass quantities of ice cream, as good as that might sound. Theoretically, will it work? Yes, it'll work. But you're going to encourage a really unhealthy way of eating, like referred to as binge eating, right? Where you cut, and then you eat everything in sight, okay? And it's just not a good habit to get into. So that's usually what I say. If you want to do this style where you're like, I just want to hit my number of the week, just make sure on the higher calorie days, you don't just completely go crazy and eat like 4 times your normal amount, right? But you could take 500 calories from this day, add it to that day, so forth. So I do that all the time. So good question. Anyone else? All right, guys. Well, hey, we sure do appreciate you being here. I'm glad you came. Next week is going to be Josh doing an Olympic lifting clinic. So if you want to do some Oli, he's the guy. He's USAW certified and all that jazz. And number 1 in our hearts. But we will have teams assigned and all that stuff probably today or tomorrow. Either way, it'll be before Monday for sure. And then we'll have the little blurb that's going to be about water, why water is important. You know, what are some ways you can maybe drink more or be more consistent with your water intake, that sort of thing. And that'll be coming out today or tomorrow as well. So we love you guys. Thank you so much. If you have any questions, in fact, I'm going to put this on the board for everybody. If there's ever anything, questions you have or whatever, just reach out to me and I will answer you when I can. Sound good? Okay, we want to make sure you guys have a great experience. So let's kill it. And yeah, that's it. Anyone want to stick around and do a marathon row?